As a 2.5-ton wireline BOP is lifted to a rig floor, things are about to go very wrong. In this presentation, you will see the entire course of events and what can be done to avoid this kind of incident in the future. The purpose of the job is to conduct a wireline operation on the rig floor. Personnel on the rig floor and the wireline are involved in the operation. Before starting the job, they conduct a safe job analysis and a pre-job meeting. The SJA is mainly focused on the wireline operation itself. A wireline BOP for this operation has been placed on the pipe deck. The BOP will be transported from the pipe deck up to the rig floor using a crane. The banksman arrives on the rig floor and directs the crane as close to the derrick as possible. So the crew on the rig floor will be able to receive and handle the BOP. For the crane operator, the load is in a blind zone. According to procedures, the BOP should be moved closer to the derrick using a tugger winch. The drilling personnel want to lower the BOP down to the deck. This will make it easier to fasten the strap for the tugger. The banksman doesn't agree that the BOP should be lowered before hooking on the tugger. This was clearly communicated to the others on the team, but the suggestion was disregarded. The banksman gives the signal to the crane operator to lower the BOP carefully. According to those involved, the BOP comes down so fast that they can't support the load. When it hits the rig floor, there is slack in the crane wire, causing the BOP to fall over to one side. One person is standing in a spot where he ends up getting trapped between the BOP and the driller's cabin. Only a stanchion and the construction around the cabin door itself keep him from being crushed. To get him out of his confined position, the BOP has to be straightened up and pulled to the side. The lifting operation is a combined lift using both a crane and a tugger winch. The strap should have already been fastened to the BOP when it was still on the pipe deck. Operational procedures for hauling a wireline BOP to the rig floor dictate that the wireline should first hang from the crane hook and then be hooked to a tugger. When the crane slackens off, the weight is transferred to the tugger without the BOP coming into contact with the deck. In addition to this being a combined lift, it is also a blind lift. In accordance with NORSOK standards, there are special requirements for blind lifts. In this instance, there was one role missing during the lifting operation itself. According to the NORSOK standard, there must always be at least 2 people involved during blind lifts, a banksman and a slinger. They watch the load and each other while keeping radio contact with the crane operator. When a banksman is involved in a lifting operation, the banksman directs the load. When directing cranes in blind zones, we use confirmatory communication. In this case, the desired crane movement should have been given as 20 centimeters. An SJA was held with the team before the job. The SJA mainly focused on the wireline operation itself. It did not address lifting the wireline BOP. Neither was the lift discussed at the pre-job meeting. Those involved discuss how to perform the lift as they mount the tugger. Here, the operation should have been stopped. Those involved should also have conducted a risk assessment to clarify roles and responsibilities. Where should the person who ended up being trapped have stood during the lift? Everyone involved in a lifting operation shall ensure that they have an unobstructed escape route during all phases of the lift. During a combined lift, it is important to consider whether there's a sufficient number of lifting straps on the load before starting the lift. During combined lifts, It is important that the crane is not slackened off before the weight has been transferred to another crane or winch. During a blind lift, there shall always be at least 2 persons who can see the load and each other and have radio contact with the crane operator. When a banksman is involved in a lifting operation, he or she is responsible for directing the load. When directing cranes in blind zones, use confirmatory communication. Take a time out if there is a need for new planning or risk assessment. All personnel involved in a lifting operation shall ensure that they have an unobstructed escape route during all phases of the operation. Our work is never so important nor so urgent that we don't have the time to do it safely.